I'd like to call the Wayne County Zoological Authority meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Marecki,
Here.
Dawn Lee Cotton,
Present.
David Katz,
Here.
Wafa De Niro,
Present.
Chair Bell.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Approval of the minutes from the September 24th, 2019 meeting.
Move approval.
Support.
Support.
Been moved and supported the minutes from the September 24th, 2019 meeting. Any discussion on that item? Any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next item, please.
Item number D1 is approval of a resolution for levy and collection of the millage and the 2020 tax rate request form.
All right. Do you want to discuss that, Pam, really quick for us? I don't.
This is the resolution that you all approve every year that authorizes collection of the funds for the millage.
Okay, so WAFA's new. So WAFA every year, this is, you know, since the millage was approved, every year we approve, make a resolution stating that we are going to approve that the money is transferred from the county to the zoo per the millage. So any questions on this item? Again, this is the resolution that allows us to, the county to collect the millage dollars. Any questions, comments on item number 1?
No.
Questions, comments, item number 1? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve item number D1?
Move for approval.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Again, any discussion on that item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, item passes. Next item, please.
Item number 2 is approval of the 2019 audit, the management letter, communication letter, and the invoice, all from Gregory Terrell and Company.
Okay, Mr. Terrell is on the line. Mr. Terrell, would you like to go through the audit, please? Mr. Terrell may have to come off of mute. Come off of mute, Mr. Terrell.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
There you go.
I'm not able to share the screen. I don't know if Pam has that report available.
Which one do you want to show?
Let's just go through the audit report.
Sherelle, can you put up the audit, please?
Yes. I'm also able to unshare my screen if you did want to share yours, if that would be easier for you.
Let's see.
And the audit, as we're waiting for that to come up, obviously, you know, is a something that we have to do per the millage. But the long and short of what we do is pretty much collect the money as a county and pass it through to the DZA. So there's not a lot of other actions or activities that happen, but per the millage, we have to have an auditor contract and an audit performed of those transfers. So, are you ready, Mr. Terrell?
Yeah, let's see if I can get through it here. Okay, so I'll walk through the audit report. This is just a cover page. Okay, that's better. So this is our independent auditor's report. We performed the audit of the Wayne County Zoological Authority as of for the year ended December 31st, 2019. This 2-page report is really our report on the financial statements. The second paragraph talks about responsibilities, and really the responsibilities for preparation and And the content of the financial statements rests with Wayne County Zoological Management. Our responsibility, which goes into the next page, is to really perform an audit of the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, which includes looking at control risk of misstatement, performing some testing of transactions surrounding where we think the most significant risks are. And as a result of that, once we complete the audit testing, which includes testing of, in this case with the county, we work a lot with the Wayne County Treasurer's Office in verifying the property tax amount that was levied, also the collections, and then we also confirm with the Detroit Zoological Society, the amount of money that they actually received from the county to verify the actual what's been received. And so on the next paragraph, it gets into our opinion. And in this case, we issued what we call an unmodified opinion on the financial statements of the Wayne County Zoological Authority. In other matters, we reference, basically we're required by the standards and by the state to report on the actual budget. And also in this report, this is probably the first year, we've included what we call the management discussion analysis, which is required, and we haven't done it in the past, but in order to make sure we're in compliance, we provided some assistance to the county during this management discussion analysis section. And then lastly, we're required in the last paragraph to report on internal controls over financial reporting and compliance. And you'll later see that the only issue we have, which was brought up last year by the Wayne State Treasurer's Department, is that our budget, we start off with original budget and exceeded our budget, both in equal in the revenues and expenses, but they take exception when we go over budget from an appropriation standpoint. And so they sent us a letter the previous year citing us for not spending within our budget. Most governmental units, what they do is they do an original budget, it's passed, and then they get close to the end of the fiscal year, and they have another meeting, and they pretty much know where they're going to be at, and then they usually amend the budget so that they are in compliance with the state requirements. So we had that same exception this year, where we did one budget and we actually were over budget for the 2019 year. So you'll see that as we go through. The next, I'm not going to go into detail. This is a kind of a new section, but it's required under GASB requirements to have a management discussion analysis. And what this does, it just kind of gives the reader a highlight of kind of what the financial statements represent. Gives some financial highlights in terms of the results of operations during the year. This page, it kind of gives a comparison of kind of where we were in terms of assets. And so, you can see here we had amounts due to the Wayne County we were holding for Detroit Zoological Society of about $84,000 this year, about $50,000 the prior year. And the table below just shows the property tax revenues and what we actually expended for both of those periods. This page here just kind of talks about kind of our activities, our revenues, kind of the budgetary highlights. Here we talk about where the final budget the expenditures were about $467,000 more than we budgeted. And then lastly, we indicate where the financial information might be obtained by the general public. Well, this is basically our balance sheet, our statement of net position. It shows that Wayne County held deposits that were due to Detroit Zoological Society of about $84,000. Other liabilities for unbalanced related to the authority. The This page just shows the property tax amounts, $4,647,000. We distributed, basically to be distributed to the Detroit Zoological Society, $4,647,295, and then professional fees related to the audit, $7,280. So we don't have any excess. We basically, wherever we take in, we either expend or we transfer over to the Detroit Zoological Society. The next pages are notes to the financial statements. These are intended to basically provide additional information for the reader in terms of the reporting entity, the basis of accounting, kind of the summary of assets, talks about the property tax levy and how much the village was and was collected during the year. Note 2 is authority operations. Basically, we talked about that in terms of the enactment of the authority based upon and based back in 2008 and our ability to levy purposes of supporting. Note 3, deposit and investments. This is just required disclosure. We disclose basically that things we can invest in as a governmental unit. And in this case, our cash is pooled with the counties. And so we don't have any significant custodial credit risk related to our funds. And in subsequent events, we didn't have any significant subsequent events that really impacted the Detroit Zoological Authority. Some impact, generally speaking, for most organizations would be COVID-19, where we in some areas we actually will do some fuller disclosure with respect to that. But for 19, we didn't. So far, probably don't have as significant impact in terms of operations. A lot of places were having employees, they had to shut down operations, employees had to work remotely, and so we tend to go through some of that with some other entities. But for the authority, we don't have the same kind of operations as others, and the impact of COVID-19 hasn't been as severe with respect to the way we operate. This is required, the supplementary schedule. It just shows kind of what our original and basically original and budget, our final budget were the same. And this is kind of where I was saying we actually budgeted about $4,179,000. We actually came in about $4,647,000. So we were over budget in revenues, and because we budget both revenue and expenses, so we were over in terms of our actual appropriations for.
Okay, can you stop right there for me, Greg? Because I think this is where you talked about at the beginning about the state, and on this page here, and it's I guess the nature of the beast. We estimate what the property taxes are going to be, and then we have an actual based on what they actually are, and then we budget. We budget on a guesstimate. Then they come in. And then the state says you were wrong because your budget. So that's probably going to be an ongoing year-to-year event, because we don't know the property tax collections are going to be until they're in. We can just estimate based, do some assumptions and estimate. So is that a true assertion of how this is reported to the state, and why they keep giving us a letter every year about how we're out of, not compliance, but how we're out of our budget because of the collection series and how the collections come in?
Yeah, what they would like you to do, and I know you guys meet pretty much various meetings, but what they would like you to do is as you determine that you're going to have, in this case, you're going to expend more in terms of what money goes to, that you go back and you, closer to the end of the year, that you go back and you amend your budget to basically reflect,
do a budget amendment at the before the end of the year.
Yeah, that's what most. I mean, we do a lot of municipal work, and a lot of schools, and what they do is they'll usually do their last final amendment in their year, and it's June, but they'll come in and do their amendments in May. and kind of forecast where they're going to be at the end of the year, and they'll basically review the budget so that they're not over budgeted in any category. Yeah. So I mean, that would be a suggestion I would have, that you would do a meeting in November and kind of forecast kind of where you're going to be, and then
To say what the budget, what the actuals are going to be once we get the actuals in. Okay.
Well, it doesn't have to be exactly, but you can just make sure that you're
Close.
That you're not, that you're at least budgeted at least more than a little bit more than maybe what you expect to spend out. But you should by November, you should have a pretty good idea of kind of where you're going to be for the year. So I
Okay.
would suggest maybe in November. December gets a little tricky. November probably.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
And this just the next page just talks about the budget process, and that we had this budget hearing and so we talked about. And this last report is our report on internal control of our financial reporting compliance, and we didn't have any internal control deficiencies to report. In this case, we did report the budget compliance issue we just talked about, so that is put under compliance. And so
Okay.
Overall,
All right.
there's another letter, but I'll just kind of briefly kind of tell you what that letter is. A letter we talk about, basically it just requires us to communicate with this body with respect to any issues we encountered during the audit. And so first of all, we didn't encounter any difficulties overall in terms of doing the audit, but there's been a lot of turnover in the treasurer's office, and then we had the COVID-19 stuff happen, and so there were some delays in getting information and being able to get everything done this year. So this is kind of a strange year for everybody, and so there were some delays, and so the state has sent us a letter saying that we're late. We're supposed to have these reports into the state treasury within 6 months of year end, so we are late. A letter from them, and our response was that we would provide the audit report once it was approved by this body. And so once it's approved, we'll finalize the audit and we'll submit it to the Michigan Department of Treasury. The other thing we typically do, we'll get a representation letter from management just saying that management has provided us with everything that we requested during the audit, didn't hold any information. So let's call it kind of a client representation letter. There's no significant audit adjustments or changes in accounting that have impacted these financial statements. No significant estimates or anything like that relate to these financial statements. So overall, we didn't have any disagreements with management. There was no conditions placed upon us to retain it in this audit. And overall, I think the audit went well, but again, we had some delays in getting it done. That's a combination of the COVID situation, and we've got a lot of new people over in the Treasury Department, so we had to kind of coordinate trying to get things done with various different folks that are over there. So that is pretty much it. And so that would be my report, and we'll open up for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Terrell. Are there any questions on the audit report? Any questions on the audit report as presented to us? Once if we approve it, then it goes as was indicated to the state. It's in draft format now, but once we approve it, they'll put it in the format to go to the state. So any questions on what's presented? And I think everyone heard that we may need to have a meeting towards the end of the year to match up better the projections for the property taxes and what we budget versus what the actuals are. So we can anticipate maybe having a meeting late November, between late November and mid-December as the property taxes roll in. Any questions on item number 2, which is the audit report? Hearing no questions, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
It's been
Support.
moved by Dawn, supported by Mr. Katz. Again, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Anyone wish to abstain? Okay, item passes. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Terrell. Next item, please.
Item number 3 is to receive and file correspondence from the State of Michigan Department of Treasury, final notice of delinquency, revenue sharing withholding, and email responses to the notice. And that's the letter that Mr. Terrell just spoke about from the state about the audit being due. And I sent the email to them letting them know that there was a meeting on the 15th and they were fine. They just asked that the audit be forwarded after it was approved.
Okay. A motion to receive and file this item.
I'll move it. Terry.
Okay, there's support.
Or,
Okay, is that Dawn?
yes.
Okay, moved and supported to receive and file the notice from the State of Michigan Department of Treasury. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Anyone wish to abstain? Okay, ayes have it. Next item.
Item number 4 is approval of the Wayne County Zoological Authority actuals and projected budget for fiscal years 19 and 20.
Okay, can we put that on the screen?
And I don't know if Masir is on the line. He's from the treasurer's office. He prepares your budgets for you. He is aware of the issue that Mr. Terrell spoke about. So this is kind of after the fact, but he did do the amended budget for 19 as well as the projected budget for 20. And he is aware that he will need to prepare an amended budget before year end.
Okay, so this is the budget here on our screen now. We can look at where we are from 17, 18, and 19. And as you see, we were on a pretty good trajectory. 17, we're 3.8, 18, we're 4.2, and 19, we're 4.6. And then COVID. But we were going on a nice upwardly motion for our property tax collection. But that's what a snapshot of a few years before and where we have the projection for 2020. Legal fees, there are none. The audit fees are listed as well. Any questions on this chart? So the projection for 2020 are 4.1, and again, we'll meet closer to the end of the year to make sure that to amend the budget if it's more or less than that. But that's what we project for 2020, 4.1. Okay, and this was an approval item.
Yes, please.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the budget as stated? And let me just check one more time. Is the treasurer's office on the phone or on Zoom? Anyone from the treasurer's
Hi.
office? Oh, hi.
Hi, this is Masir. Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Would you like to add anything, sir?
No, I mean, I think Pamela kind of stated everything that needed to be stated. We'll definitely plan to meet again and give an updated budget once we actually review what's been collected and dispersed. Yeah, we'll definitely have something by November, December with updated numbers.
So what do you think would be a good time to meet? Like mid-December?
Yeah, mid-December is fine.
You should have numbers. Okay. Okay. Because I'm looking at a calendar now, and just for the record, maybe so everybody can put on their schedule, we can reconvene on December 14th, which is a Monday, to
Okay, that works.
get the actuals, and we can make the amended budget to send to the state, so they'll stop sending us nasty letters. And we'll get that over to them for our auditor as well. So December 14th, we'll put that in tentatively for our next meeting to go over the numbers. But for now, I'll entertain a motion. Do I have a motion for the budget as presented?
Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Okay. Okay, moved by Commissioner Marecki. Is there support?
Support.
Support.
Okay, lots of support to approve the budget as listed here for 20. And again, we'll reconvene as we get actuals in for the 20 property taxes. Any discussion on that item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone wish to abstain? Okay, item passes. All right, next item, please.
Item number 5 is an update on zoo operations.
Okay, Mr. Ron Kagan is with us today. I saw Ron's face. I don't see him anymore.
Good morning, I'm here.
Yes, there you are. Hey, Ron. So just so you know, Ron, we have a new member to the zoo board. Is Wafa De Niro from the Economic Development Office. So
Nice to
Wafa,
meet you,
Ron, Wafa. All right, so I know there's a lot going on, Mr. Kagan, with the zoo in light of COVID.
Yep.
So if you can give us a brief overview of what the last 6 months have been like for you and the zoo.
Sure, and I promise I won't complain because it doesn't do any good. First of all, thank you to all of you. Public servants never get thanked enough, and the fact that you all are helping us, especially now where the millage is so much more important than it's ever been. So thanks for your service on the Zoological Authority board. I'll give you a very quick update on where we are and where we've come from. So we closed down like everyone else back in March, although of course the difference for us is we're kind of like a hospital. So when we close down, we can close down to visitors, but we can't close down to all of the residents who live here. And that's roughly 2,500 who require care 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So nothing changed in terms of our care for the endangered animals that live here. We also tried to maintain normal operations with respect to education. And we realized right away that with schools being out, that families were in desperate need of attention for kids. So we quickly pivoted, and even though we have done some virtual programming in the past, we really ramped that up in a very big way. And if you haven't, you ought to go to our website or our YouTube channel, and you'll see that we have created hundreds of programs, and they're really cool, engaging programs. So in those two areas, we tried not to miss a beat. In other areas, this of course has been gut-wrenching. We laid off roughly 30% of the staff, and that's in addition to people that were put on furloughs. So, and that's in addition to all of the pay cuts that all of us took and we are still taking. So we acted very, very quickly to dramatically reduce our finances because we could project that our annual budget was going to go from about $45 million to roughly $27 million. So as you can see, that's an enormous drop. We were fully closed for 3 months. In mid-June, we started partial operations, advanced ticketing only, which remains to this day. And our capacity limits are roughly 25%. So if you will recall, on a normal busy day during a summertime, we'll have anywhere from 10,000 to 12,000, even 15,000 people. We're now at 3,000 people as a max. I'm happy to say that a lot of people have been coming here and continue to. I think part of it is being outdoors is about the safest anyone can be once they're outside their home, unless you're living on the West Coast right now, of course. And so the the visitation has been actually remarkably strong, but again, it's a fraction of normal, which means it's also a fraction of our earned revenue. So on top of that, of course, we have the extra expenses where we have a lot more cleaning going on and we have more security. We aren't able to host events, which is another huge hit to us in terms of revenue. We were fortunate to get a PPP loan, which we believe will be a full grant, and that was about $3.9 million, which covered our salaries for a couple of months of the 6 months. So as you can see, it's been a radically challenging situation. Among those 30% staff reduction, you'll note that Paul Good is not with me today. Paul was going to retire in June anyway, but this forced it to be a couple of months earlier. So we're missing a lot of very key positions. We didn't drop much in terms of the basic operations. It was really in the management and executive level that we made most of the cuts. The board has been tremendous. And in fact, we immediately did an emergency campaign and raised $750,000 from our board. And we are in the process of developing a major fundraising campaign now as well. Finally, I just want to mention that this Thursday evening at 7 p.m., we're going to be live streaming Sunset for the Zoo as opposed to Sunset at the Zoo. Just this morning, I finished reviewing with the team here and at the donor advertising agency our film that we produced. Calvin Ford and I host this. It is absolutely awesome. And unlike Sunset at the Zoo, we're showing people what happens behind the scenes. Behind the scenes here, so for instance, you may have heard that we have hand-raised a baby chimpanzee that when she was born earlier this year, her mother was very ill and we had to take care of the baby for her mother. And then we're able to reunite her with a family of chimps. It's an amazing story, and the photos, you know, you're just gonna melt. And lots of other really cool stories, both on campus and also off campus, of the work that we do in rescue and care, and even the rescue we're doing with education, and how we go into communities that especially need our help. So, you know, this is a very mission-driven organization, so even though the pandemic has hammered us financially, the mission goes on. And I'll leave it there for any questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Ron. You know, we called Paul not knowing that he wasn't with you anymore. So, you know, he was a great asset to the zoo. He was always at our meetings. So I know he'll be greatly missed. But I know he's doing better things other places. But I know you wished he was still there at the zoo because he did a great job with you there. Yeah. Thank you for all the work that you have done. You know, as you know, it's been hard for governments. It's been hard for zoos. It's been hard for everyone. I pray that next summer we'll see the turnaround and you'll be back up to your numbers where there should be 10, 12,000 people a day enjoying the zoo. It's terrible that you're capped at 3,000 right now. Will the Zubu happen this year? Do you anticipate? No Zubu and no lights?
We think we can do wild lights.
Okay.
We don't think there's a way to safely do Zubu. We know that if we put these things on, people will come, but we obviously want to be responsible. We know there's a lot more demand for even daily attendance, but we want to make sure it's as safe as can be.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for that report. I think we have a few questions from members. Questions?
I have a quick question. Did the pandemic impact the timing of the Penguinarium reopening?
It did, Wafa, because the contractors had to stop work. So that put us back. We are really close to finishing the work. I don't know if it's going to be finished this month. If not, it'll be early next month. And then it's a matter of bringing the penguins back over from their old spot and making sure that they're comfortable. So we're assuming we'll be able to reopen next month. We just don't know when.
Oh, good. Very good. Good question. I was going to ask about that I'm glad to see that it's almost, I mean, close, very close, very good. Any additional questions from anyone? Any questions? Ron, real quick about just the animals in general. They fared pretty well during this. I guess they don't know the difference, but.
Well, it's actually a great question because you may recall that I think it was in April or May, there was a report out of New York that at the zoo there, their big cats contracted COVID.
Right.
And we have been tracking the limited amount of research that's actually available. I mean, as everyone knows, this is a novel coronavirus. It's new. So people are still trying to figure out how it's affecting humans, but also in the hundreds of different species that zoos have. We have been taking additional precautions with our animals, and we've been watching the research. I won't go into the technical details about the surface of viruses and how we're looking at this, but we can actually tell what species potentially could be susceptible based on the morphology of their cell membranes. So there are some species that are a particular concern, and we've taken measures to make sure that both staff, who always have been using PPE anyway, take additional precautions, and also so that visitors can't in any way jeopardize inadvertently, especially if somebody is asymptomatic. We don't want to take any chances. So nothing has been a problem for us, and we're not hearing more reports from other zoos than the one in New York.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And my family and I were able to go to the zoo about a month ago and to see the tiger exhibit. Was wonderful. That's a new exhibit there. So a lot of new exhibits that were just opening, and then right before COVID, we were excited to have on display this summer. So again, we were prayerful that we'll get through this and that life will get back to normal by next summer. So, well, please keep us informed. I know I'll see you this Saturday, but Dawn, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I think I got an email, Ron, about virtual sunset at the zoo. How is
Right.
that going to work?
So that's the event that's coming up this Thursday evening. We'll be live streaming it. You know, we've got a nice following. We have 350,000 Facebook fans.
Good.
We've got 150,000 folks on Twitter and another platform. We also have been working with the TV stations, so we're not yet quite sure exactly what will play out. There's almost certainly going to be something on Channel 4, possibly during the day, but all the TV stations will be promoting this. And so people will be able to watch the show where this is a fundraiser, so there'll be also an opportunity for people to contribute to underwrite schools coming to the zoo, and also underwrite our virtual programs to schools and to children at home. And a lot of the other work that we do here. There's also an auction for some really cool items. So we're hoping, along with sponsorships and various other things, to raise $500,000 Thursday evening.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be great. And I'm going to make sure, and if you could, Ron, make sure that we have that link for the event for Thursday.
I'll do that.
Just double check. I did see something from Laura. I'm looking at it now. So if you could send that out, then I can forward it to commissioners and my network of friends. And I would ask that we all do that, forward it to our network of friends to help support the zoo. You know, Sunset at the Zoo is my absolute favorite summertime activity, and for it not to happen this year was, you know, heartbreaking. But again, we're going to be resilient and come back better and stronger next year. So thank you again for all the work that
It's a really cool show, so I encourage you. You'll love it. It's really intriguing stuff.
I can't wait. And hopefully it can be on a loop where people can look at it, maybe on YouTube after they can't make it live that day. Maybe they can contribute and look at it at another time when it's most convenient for them. So.
It will.
Very good. Any additional questions for our zoo director? Any additional questions for Mr. Kagan? And Ron, any news you want to make about yourself in the zoo right now?
No?
Okay, very good. I'm glad to hear that. So very good. All right. Well, you've done a great job excellent job for a couple of decades now. So, I think the zoo wouldn't be the same without you there and the leadership that you've drawn to the zoo and how you've just really made this the best attraction in the metro area. So I always want to compliment on your work
Takes a
that you've
village.
done.
Takes a village.
Well, takes a great leader too, such as yourself. So I want to always thank you for that. And please send us that information so that we can participate on Thursday.
Great.
Any
Thank you.
additional questions for Mr. Kagan? All right. Hearing none, thank you so much, sir, and I'll see you Saturday. And next item, Madam Clerk.
So, Madam Chair, if you will allow me to go back to Mr. Terrell. He
Sure.
mentioned the representation letter, and I just received an email from one of his staffers, the representation letter, and I can't recall if this is an item that the board has approved in the past, but just to make sure, I wanted to have it displayed and get an approval, just in case this is an item that you all have approved in the past. So I did forward it to Sherelle. I just received it. Sherelle, did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. Give me 1 second so I can.
I'm sorry about that, but Amy just emailed it to me.
Okay. We'll put that up under such other matters. So as soon as that comes up, we'll review it and entertain a motion for it. So let us know when you're ready. Okay. All right, everyone, let's take a minute to read this. And Ms. Terrell, this is what you discussed during your report, correct?
Yeah, this is it's just a letter that we get at the end of the audit of every client, which basically is a representation letter, just acknowledging that we have management has provided us with all of the things we've asked about during the audit, and typically we'll have that signed by the CEO, CFO of the organization. I think in the past, Commissioner, I think you've, Madam Chair, I think you've signed it.
Yes.
And so that's fine because we don't have any real paid staff in terms of the authority. So we would have you take a look at it, any questions, sign it, and get it back to us. And then once we get it back, we'll finalize the
Okay. All right, again, this is the representation letter. Is there a motion on this item? And this would be to approve or reject the representation letter. There a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. This is a representation letter that is typical and standard with our auditing process. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Anyone wish to abstain? All right, thank you. And again, I will put that under such other matters, representation letter. Okay, at this time, next item, Madam Clerk.
Any other such other matters, or you want me to go to public comments?
Public comments.
Public comments.
Anyone on the line from the public who wish to give comments at this time? Anyone on Zoom or on the telephone who wish to give comments at this time? Did you receive any emails, Pam?
No emails were received.
Okay, once again, anyone on the line or on Zoom who would like to give public comments to the Wayne County Zoological Authority? Okay, hearing none, next item.
Adjournment.
Okay, and before we adjourn, just want to ask members if they have any questions, comments, or concerns before we adjourn. Again, we have Wafa as our new member. Welcome, Wafa.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And as before mentioned, we're going to tentatively have a meeting on December 14th to adjust the budget to the actuals for the revenue collection. So just put that on your calendars, anticipate that meeting and have the actuals by then. So that'll be a relatively short meeting unless we have some other items that we have to discuss. Any other items for discussion by the members? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, supported by
Support.
WAPA. All right, thank you all so much. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.